My name's Ethan Cole, and if you'd asked me a year ago what love felt like, I probably would have said something stupid like, complicated. But love isn't complicated. People are. Especially me. I moved to Chicago 2 years ago, chasing a job and running from memories. I worked as an auto mechanic at a small garage off North Avenue, the kind of place where time feels slower, even when cars come and go all day. The owner, Rick, was an old friend of my dad's. When I told him I needed a new start, he didn't ask questions. Just handed me a wrench and said, "Work keeps the ghosts quiet." He wasn't wrong. Then one Monday morning, the door chimed and in walked her. She wore a gray hoodie, her hair tied up carelessly, face a little flushed from the cold. I noticed her eyes first, green, sharp, curious. She looked around like she didn't trust the place, or maybe didn't trust herself for being there. "Hey," I said, wiping grease off my hands. "Need help?" "Yeah," she sighed. "My Jeep's making this weird noise. Kind of a screech? Or maybe a growl? I don't know. It's embarrassing." I grinned. "Cars don't get embarrassed. People do." That made her smile, just a little, but enough to hit something inside me I didn't know still worked. Her name was Hailey Grant. She was 26, worked as a freelance photographer, and lived 3 blocks down from the garage. Over the next hour, while I checked her car, we talked about everything from the weather to why Chicago pizza was better than New York's. When I handed her the estimate, she said, "You don't talk like a mechanic. Is that good or bad?" She tilted her head. "I'll decide next time." And she did come back. Hailey showed up 2 days later with coffee, 1 black, 1 caramel latte. "I wasn't sure how you take it," she said, "so I guessed." "Black's perfect," I said. "How'd you know?" "I didn't," she smiled. "Lucky guess." From then on, it became a thing. Every few days she'd stop by. Just to check on the Jeep. Even though it was fine. Sometimes we'd talk for 5 minutes, sometimes an hour. She told me about her dad, who'd passed away when she was 17, and how photography was her way of keeping the world still for a moment, the way he used to tell her to pause and notice the small stuff. I told her about my small hometown in Ohio, how I left after a breakup that turned me into a version of myself I didn't like. How I came to Chicago just to disappear into work. "You don't seem like someone who wants to disappear," she said once. "Maybe I'm just waiting for a reason not to." She looked at me, really looked, and I swear I felt her see every scar I'd tried to hide. It was a Saturday in late November when everything changed. Hailey asked if I wanted to tag along on one of her shoots, an outdoor portrait session near the lakefront. I said yes. The wind was sharp, the sky restless, but we laughed through it, sharing a single thermos of coffee. Afterward, as we packed up, it started to rain, hard. We ran toward her Jeep, drenched and breathless, her camera clutched under her jacket. When we got in, she was laughing uncontrollably. "You look like a wet cat," she teased. "Yeah? You look like a raccoon." Her laughter stopped. Then she leaned closer. "You gonna sit there or?" I kissed her. Right there, in the middle of a thunderstorm, with the city blurred through the windows and her hand tangled in my soaked shirt. It wasn't planned. It wasn't perfect. But it was real. That night, we didn't say what it meant. We didn't have to. For weeks, everything felt easy. We had dinners, long drives, movie nights on her couch. Hailey took photos of everything, my hands, the skyline, even the broken clock at the shop. She said, "Imperfection's beautiful. It tells a story." But the story got complicated when her ex called. His name was Adam, a journalist, older, charming in a too sure of himself kind of way. He wanted her back. She told me it was over long ago, but something in her voice carried a tremor she didn't notice. I pretended not to care, but I did. More than I wanted to. The next few weeks were strange. She became distant, distracted. I started working late, hoping maybe if I didn't think about her, she'd miss me. But love doesn't work like that. One night, I found her waiting outside the shop. It was snowing lightly, her hair dotted with flakes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I get scared when things feel real. Hailey, no, listen. She cut me off. You make me feel like home, Ethan. And that terrifies me. I stepped closer, took her hands. Then stay scared. Just don't run. She nodded, but her eyes said she already was. She left for a photography job in Oregon 2 weeks later. Said it was temporary. A few months at most. She promised to call, to write. And she did, at first. Texts, photos, video calls that lasted till 2 a.m. Then the calls slowed. The messages stopped being long. The distance wasn't just miles anymore. It was silence that I told myself she was busy. I told myself it didn't hurt. But every morning, I checked my phone anyway. Christmas came. No word. I sent one last message. Hope you're okay. I miss you. No reply. By February, I stopped expecting anything. I buried myself in work again. Rick joked that I was trying to fix every car in Chicago. Maybe I was trying to fix myself. Then one evening, I found a small envelope in the shop's mailbox. No return address. Inside was a photo of me, working at the garage, sunlight cutting through the window. On the back, in her handwriting, I never stopped seeing you. I didn't know what it meant. But I knew what I had to do. 2 days later, I packed my truck and drove 18 hours straight, snow, coffee, radio static. I didn't even have her exact address, just the name of the studio she'd been working with. When I found her in Portland, she looked stunned. Then she laughed, covering her mouth with her hand. You drove across the country? Yeah, I said. Guess I ran out of excuses not to. She didn't say anything for a while. Then quietly, I didn't answer because I thought you deserved someone who knew what they wanted. And now? Now I know I want you. She stepped closer, and I felt that same electricity from the first kiss. The world outside didn't matter, not the rain, not the noise, not the miles I'd crossed. Just her. We drove back to Chicago a week later, taking our time. She photographed everything: diners, sunsets, our reflections in motel windows. Somewhere in Kansas, she asked. Why me, Ethan? Because you made me feel again, I said. Because you're the one place I don't want to escape from. When we finally reached the city, Rick had hung a small sign outside the shop. Hailey's Garage, photography free with tune-up. She laughed till she cried. A year later, Hailey and I moved into a small apartment above the garage. She turned one room into a studio. I fixed cars downstairs. On weekends, we'd drive to the lakefront, her camera on the dashboard, her hand always finding mine. Life didn't turn perfect overnight. We argued, we made up, we learned. But every time I looked at her, I remembered the guy I used to be, and how she found him in the noise. Sometimes, late at night, she'd whisper, Do you think we were meant to meet? And I'd say, No. I think we just refused to miss each other. Because love, I realized, isn't about fate. It's about choosing, every day, every storm, every silence, to stay. Last week, she showed me her latest photo series. Where the Heart Comes Back. It's all moments of us: the garage, the road trip, the first storm. Under one photo, the one where I'm fixing her Jeep, she wrote, Sometimes, love isn't about finding someone new. It's about finding your way back, to where your heart already waited. I looked at her, smiling. Guess the Jeep really did bring you back. She kissed me softly and whispered, Yeah. I think it was always supposed to break.